Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Great Scott.
Hey, Scott!
If you're unfamiliar with this channel, please check out our other videos, but what we do here, it's a completely free-to-play channel. We only use free champions to everyone. That means campaign farmables, daily logins, champions you can get from the Tag Team Bazaar and the Clan Shop, basic reward champions that you can get, permanent fusion champions, and we also use rares because they're so common, anybody and everybody can get them. We also use uncommons and commons in some cases. So if you have access to the champion, we're going to use them. We don't use legendary and epic champions that you have to pull from special shards because not everybody has access to those. And part of this channel is teaching people how to do the content with the champions you have rather than focusing on these specific legendary champions that might be difficult to get or you might never get. And so it doesn't make any sense to do a video if nobody can use the champions you're talking about. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Barbarian Crypts, and I've promised to do one of these for forever, for a long, long time. I have the Barbarians Crypt completed. It was the first one I completed, and the reason it's completed so quickly is because it's so easy. Plarium gives you everything you need to complete that crypt for free in a reasonably short period of time. So let's take a look at the Barbarians Crypt and see what champions we have available. We have Scylla the Drakes. She comes free daily login after 6 months. All you have to do is build her. She will change your account. So I would recommend starting to save up all of your food for this particular champion. Maybe start saving about month 5, because as soon as you get her in month 6, you're gonna max her out and start using her in all areas, all content. She's just fantastic, mostly because she gives 10% heal every single turn, and that really helps keep your team alive. But also because she has a revive that throws an ally protect on them, so it's a pretty decent revive. She also can stun all the waves, so she has crowd control, and she has turn meter decrease on her A1. So turn meter decrease plus stunning crowd control on an AoE, plus she can revive a person with ally protect, plus she heals all your team every single time she takes a turn, and she'll throw an increased speed on a random ally for 2 turns here and there. She's a phenomenal champion. Change your account. Enough said. Everybody needs to max Scylla the Drakes. Now, Yakarl is also in this faction, and Yakarl is purchasable through the clan shop, and in his case, he is great for crowd control. Trying to get through those waves, he's your man. On his A1, he can freeze. On his A2, he steals turn meter and freezes, and on his A3, he freezes AoE, so the whole wave can get frozen. Now, it's funny that they can't resist it if they have 75% or more turn meter, which is pretty cool. And some other things, he does more damage to champions when they're under freeze, and if he happens to kill anybody under freeze, he's going to get unkillable on himself, which is great. I mean, he also throws attack in all battles by 33%. That's pretty good too if you don't have another lead. So Yakarl is great, but I did this without Yakarl, so we actually don't need Yakarl, but I would recommend getting Yakarl because he is also an account changer. And once you get Yakarl, you can do waves so much faster in all content. I can even use him in the arena. He's pretty great in the arena too. So keep an eye out for Yakarl. Start buying his shards as soon as you can. Anticipate getting Scylla at that 6-month mark, so start getting your food at month 5 so she can immediately be maxed out, and you'll be doing great in this faction crypt already. However, they also give us a great epic. High Katoon. We get High Katoon after 30 days. That's a daily login champion for free. She's fantastic. She can place a decreased speed on her A1. She can fill the turn meters of all your allies and place increased speed on all your allies for a couple of turns. Great. And she also has an AoE that decreases the turn meter of the enemies. So she's speeding you up, and she's essentially slowing down the enemies too. She increases speed in all battles by 19%. That's a great aura. You're probably going to use that most of the early and even through the mid game. I still use it even in some of the end game content because it's the best I've got for the team that I'm using. Especially in the city. Sometimes you can't use your best champions in the city, and you're forced to use what you've got. So, High Katoon after 30 days, excellent champion. I would consider building her out right away, because you're going to use her in a lot of different content. So now that's 3 down. Who else do we put on this team? Well, we'll go through them pretty much one at a time. I'm not going through everybody because they're not all useful, but they are stacked in this faction with great champions. Marked is a great champion. Not everybody loves Marked, but I do. She's got an A1 that decreases defense. On her A2, it's an AoE attack that decreases accuracy. And on her A3, she puts block debuffs and an increased defense on all allies. That's on a 3-turn cooldown. Increased defense for 2 turns on a 3-turn. It means your increased defense is going to be up most of the battle. So that's pretty much what I use her for, is to block those debuffs, which prevents everybody from getting stunned, and also to increase the defense on all of my champions. It's actually just a great skill to have up all the time if you can. She gives defense and faction crypts by 15%. I'm not too concerned about that. I think I'd rather use the speed lead from High Katoon. Now, other choices in here. War Maiden. War Maiden's great. Everybody knows War Maiden. I won't put too much time on her here. She's got a small poison, small chance of landing. She's got increased attack on herself when it's critical. And she also will hit again if that happens. And then she has this one, which is the bread and butter. This is what everybody knows her for. This is why she's here on this team. She's got an AoE that places. It's got a 100% chance of placing the big version of decreased defense. So that's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's for 2 turns. Pretty much you're going to have decreased defense up all the time. So she's a must. She's campaign farmable, so we want her on the team. Then I'm going to talk about somebody like that nobody talks about, and this is Anointed. Now, Anointed is slow. His speed is 91. That is very slow, so you're going to have to put a lot of speed items on him to make him usable, but he's not bad. So he has a chance to freeze. It's a 3-hitter on his A1, so I mean if you put him in Giant Slayer, he's going to be kicking out a little bit of damage from those Giant Slayers. He's got a 2-hitter on these A2, and that one has a 90% chance of stealing 1 buff from the target. So that's actually really good, because if you get those unkillable champions out there, or if you get those retaliation champions out there, you could steal that. And then it puts it on him, and then he gets even better. So he's good. And then this last one fills the turn meters of all allies by 25% and throws an increased crit rate on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. That's pretty good. I mean, every time you get a turn meter boost, that means your whole team gets to go again, even that much sooner. So High Katoon is doing it, and if you put Anointed on there, he's doing it. So your turns are coming around a lot faster. Plus, if you've got difficult gear and you don't quite have all the crit rate that you need, a 30% increase in crit rate is a huge increase in crit rate. That should potentially take all of your team to 100% whenever this is activated. So he's not a bad champion, although he's super slow. He's pretty good. So honorable mention to Anointed that nobody talks about. He is a decent champion. Let's talk about Berserker. Berserker's also great. He's campaign farmable. He hits really hard. He can fill his own turn meter, which gets him around to his turn again. And he's not slow. He's 98 speed, so he's not too slow. He's going to be taking lots of turns. He can also grant himself an extra turn if somebody's killed. That's good. And he can attack all enemies 2 times. He ignores 20% of each target's defense. That's a pretty good AoE. Some people put him in a stun set. I don't think that's really the best use for him. I think you just put him in super high damage and maybe even lifesteal, but super high attack, super high damage, and see if he can just dish out the big hits. That's kind of what he's here for. He's got a great base attack at 1266 for a rare. He is a little squishy because he's got less than 800 defense, but he's not too bad. A lot of people use him. He's easy to farm. Decent champion, honorable mention. Then we got Soulbond Boyer. Soulbond Boyer is definitely a great champion. She is one of the best rares in this category, and she could be used in all types of other content. I've seen her used in a stun set to just stun waves in some of those secret rooms. I've seen her used as a single target nuker in the arena just to like completely destroy your Death Knight in one shot. She basically destroys anybody in one shot for that matter. On her A1, she has an AoE. That's great. And she has a 25% chance of inflicting a critical hit on all of her attacks. So you only have to build her up to 70 because if you use your masteries, it gives you an extra 5. So it's real easy to get her to 100% crit rate, so it's not going to use up a lot of your gear and your resources to do that. The AoE is great, especially in a stun set, but she's usable in a lot of different places, so not just a stun set. Her A2 is this super hard hitting damage dealing attack. This is the attack that is going to one shot Ultimate Death Knight in the arena. It will also do a heck of a lot of damage to your bosses. So if you trigger this, plus you trigger a War Master on the boss is hurting. And it does a really great job. You only need a certain number of turns to come around before you can use it again, and I think it's a great skill. It hurts everyone really bad. Even if you just have that one enemy in the wave that is either healing everybody or protecting everybody, you can use this A2 and get that one member of the wave out of the way. It'll make your wave clearing a lot easier. And then, of course, she's got this A3, which it's got a 100% chance when it's booked up, and there is a lot of books on her, fully depleting the target's turn meter. Usable for Spider, usable for Fire Knight, usable for some bosses, especially here in the faction crypts. She's very useful there. She also increases crit rate by 12. I don't think that's very useful. I think the other auras that we have available are useful. So Soul Bond is not just an honorable mention, but she's probably going to be somebody you'd want to include to max out, not just for your faction crypts, but for other areas as well. She's not a guaranteed make this team, but she's definitely really high on the list. Then we have, Skirmisher's pretty decent. She's got a 2-hitter on her A1. She also has the ability at her A2 to decrease the target's turn meter if it's critical, so build her with 100% crit, and not only is she going to be doing 15%, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. Go ahead and put her in crit, and she's going to be doing reduced turn meter on her A2. She's also got an AoE, which removes a buff from each enemy. This is really useful. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. I would want to use this as many times as possible just to keep those buffs from piling up. So if they have unkillables, if they have block damage, if they have retaliation, if they have any of these other buffs on there that really, really cause your team to have issues, she'll strip one buff from each enemy, which is, sometimes all you need. It doesn't just take down one turn on each buff, it strips the buff completely. Now, I'd love it if it says it steals one buff from each enemy, but that would probably make her, S tier, godlike in this category. She's honorable mention. She can take those buffs off. She can also decrease some turn meter on a 3-turn cooldown, so she's not so bad. I wouldn't necessarily build her out. She actually is, I guess, free if you purchase her from one of the shops. I may have that wrong. I'll have to fact check that. Put in the comments if I'm wrong. Tell me where you get her for free. But I think I pulled her from a shard, and I never really built her. I never really used her. She's part of a fusion somewhere, I think. But that's neither here nor there. She's honorable mention for this faction crypt. I would not put anybody else. Honorable mention Scrapper. You may be building Scrapper for some of the Doom Tower content. He's got a self shield on his A1, which is great. If his attack is critical, but presumably you're building all your champions with 100% crit rate anyway. He also can destroy the max HP of the target and give himself a shield if it's critical. So of course you're going to want to hit everything critical on him. And then, of course, he increases the damage by this champion equals to the percentage of max hit point destroyed on the target. So he actually gets stronger and stronger as boss fights go on. I wouldn't necessarily run him in here. He's very useful for the Doom Tower, but not so useful in the faction crypts. If you're building him out anyway, sure, by all means use him. But he's an honorable mention. He's not an automatically make the team. And I don't even own him, so he's kind of grayed out. So I haven't been able to build him yet. I will when I get him, but I've already beaten the faction crypts, so it's not going to be for that application. The uncommons. The uncommons have a couple of decent barbarians here. Shield Guard. Now, when I beat the Faction Wars the first time, Shield Guard was on the team. He's an amazing champion, especially in the uncommon category. He's got a chance at decreased speed. He's got an AoE, and it fills his own turn meter on each critical hit. So you build him with a 100% crit rate, he's going to be refilling his turn meter. Now he's only got 89 speed, which is kind of sad. But it's okay. It's good enough. He can do the job, and he's worth having. Now, the cool thing about his passive is it removes a debuff each turn. So if he gets stunned, he removes it. If he gets slept, he removes it. If he gets poisoned, he removes it. So every chance he gets, every turn he gets rid of one of those debuffs. So he keeps himself moving with turn meter increase, and the fact that everything's on a pretty short cooldown. This is only a 2-turn cooldown. So he gets right back to that particular skill very quickly, and he does decent damage if you build him right. So I like Shield Guard. He makes the team if you don't have anybody better. I substituted Yakarl for Shield Guard, and it still was just as effective. So both Shield Guard and Yakarl are interchangeable here. They both do a great job clearing the waves and staying alive and hitting the boss. Some might also choose Zephyr Sniper here. Zephyr Sniper is a great spider tank early on. She's great at clearing waves early on. She's good in a stun set. Her A1 is an AoE, which is great. So she has a chance of increasing the cooldown of a random skill on each turn, on each target by 1 turn, and that's like a 30% chance when you book it out. That's great. It's an AoE, and it's on her A1, so she's going to be using it every turn mostly, and that's good. If you can increase the cooldowns, that's going to slow the enemy down, so they're not going to hurt you quite as much. So she's pretty useful in a lot of different content. Her A2 is a heal, small version, 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. I don't really even use that. It's best just to kind of turn that off and just focus on her A1. You can put her in lifesteal to keep her alive. You can put her in stun set to help get through the waves. There's a lot of things you can do with her, and she's great in a lot of different content. Not an automatic, but she's definitely somebody worth looking at, especially for this faction crypt. If you don't have Syl yet, if you don't have Yakarl yet, she's a great choice to add to the team. So let's do a run or two and see how we go. It's not a super fast run, but it is 100% win rate, and I'll just go all the way to stage 21. And I don't know, maybe I should do stage 20 and then stage 21, but I don't know if anybody's having problems with stage 20 if they can do stage 21. But this team can do it. This team can do it on auto. I'm going to not waste all my keys because I'll do a couple of different runs and switch out some of the people. So I'm just going to do everything on auto. I don't even have a preset for this team. We're just running them through, doing what they normally do. I might speed it up, but I think what I'll do is I'll kind of talk our way through the battle. First thing Yakarl does is reduce the turn meter on one target, and then he's going to try and freeze everybody. Syl's going to stun everybody, and they just basically pound their way through. They've reduced their defense, so all of our attacks are going to do more damage. And, of course, our defense up from marked is keeping us from taking any damage. Now, Syl got hit big time there, because some of these champions, they hit really hard. But I'm not too worried about it. The only problem we're going to have is if Syl dies, and I don't think she ever dies. For some reason, she just heals herself right back up after that big hit. I don't even remember. Do you guys remember if she had the defense up at that time? Because now she's got the defense up, but she might not even had her defense up. That's why she took so much damage on that. So I've got my Haikatune is the speed lead. And from here, I probably should just be A1 cycling, but I'm going to let the auto do its thing. And we got a smite. That's always good. And took about a minute for the first wave. Not a big deal. You're probably not going to be farming this. I mean, you could, but stage 20 is just as easy to farm, and it takes a little less time, so probably be farming that stage. Like to get some more stuns and some more freezes out there before they start taking control of this run. Oh, it's not landing anything. Oh well. It's a very robust team. The Barbarians are a great faction. Like I said, this is the easiest faction out there. You should probably be finishing this one first because most of the champions that you're going to be using here are easy to get, free to get. It's just a great faction for free champions. Free and rare, that is. So the interesting thing about this is I usually do a three-part video, part 1 to 10. Part 1 is 1 to 10 levels. Part 2 is like 10 to 14, and part 3 is like 15 through 21. Because part 3 is the part that you need to have some level 60s, and not everybody's going to have 5 level 60s like in every faction, because that's like a ton of level 60s you have to get to. So if you can just do it one stage at a time, and part 1 is usually where I start. But this was such an easy faction, it went so fast that I didn't even have time to make the 3 separate videos, so I'm just making the one video. Alright, we were about 2 minutes 40 seconds by the time we got to the boss, and right now we're just keeping the boss's turn meter down. We're freezing the ads, stunning the ads, making sure we don't get debuffed, keeping our defense up. We're going to try and keep the boss's defense down. It's just all these things kind of play together synergistically to give us a really easy run. Theoretically, the boss shouldn't even be taking a turn because Syl and Yakarl should be keeping the boss's turn meter down pretty well. It's funny because I don't think this team has ever lost, so 100% success rate is a pretty good thing. I think the Shield Guard team does lose occasionally. I'll run an auto with it to see how that goes, but I think that's also a pretty high success team as well. One ad's gone, gonna get rid of the other ad. We're about 4 minutes. Now both ads are gone. All the attacks are going to go on the boss now. It shouldn't be long. We'll be over with this pretty soon. So originally when I beat it the first time, I think my high Katoon was only 50, and I had Shield Guard instead of Yakarl in there. So you don't have to have all level 60s to beat this faction crypt. You can beat this faction crypt with maybe even 250s. I don't know. Maybe it can be done with Syl as a level 50. Not that anybody would want to not max out Syl, but if you don't have her maxed yet, you probably could still give it a good run and see how she does. It's possible to even do maybe War Maiden on level 50 because we are getting the defense up from marked, so she may not get one-shotted, and even if she does, maybe Syl could pick her up and you'll just continue moving through the run. So it's possible, and I know it's possible because I did it with my high Katoon as a level 50 and the rest were 60s, and Shield Guard, no Yakarl. So I don't know. It's such an easy run that there's lots of combinations in here where you can do people at level 50, some of them, and still maybe complete the run with 3 stars. Yeah, I don't see the boss getting any more turns here. We're not going to be in any danger. We're just going to just keep chunking away at his life meter, and then the run's going to be over. The next one I'll do is I think I will swap out my Yakarl and put in my Shield Guard and do that run. Although that run might be like 10 minutes long instead of 8 minutes long, it still works, and especially if you don't have a Yakarl yet. I know it takes a long time to get Yakarl, even if you neglected him from the beginning. I mean, he's like 150 gold for every shard that you get. It's expensive, and People are not likely to just jump right on that, but I highly recommend getting your Carl as soon as you possibly can, even before you get Yannicka, just because he is so useful in all wave clearing everywhere in the game. All right, that wraps it up. It was kind of slow, 6:49, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and edit our team, and instead of your Carl, we're going to put a shield guard in here, and let's just give it another run, see how we do with this. We may win, we may lose on auto because I haven't preset any of my auto stuff, but I don't see it being such a huge issue. I think my shield guard's in lifesteal gear, so he should keep himself alive pretty easily. And if he does drop, I'll just pick him up with my Syl. Yeah, the defense up wasn't on when that, was it a Torture Helm? Whichever guy that is that hit my Syl. He's got a really hard hitting ability there. If the defense was up, she wouldn't have taken nearly as much damage, but she still survived the hit, and she heals herself up pretty well, so we don't have to worry about it too much. One thing that I really didn't mention up to this point is Syl is a defense-based champion, and so is Shield Guard. So when marked puts 60% increased defense on them, they do more damage. So because Shield Guard does more damage because his defense is increased, he also steals more life because he's in lifesteal gear. So that's pretty good combination to have increased defense up with a defense-based champion who is also in lifesteal gear, so they get more of their life back. Oh, so there we have some of those buffs on them that are going to block the debuffs. So if you had a debuff stripper here, or a buff stripper here, that would be really advantageous because we'd be able to take them down. So they've got unkillable on, they've got high defense on, and they've got block debuffs on. Stripping those would be ideal. That's really delaying our run. So those others, like I said, Anointed and Skirmisher, would be really useful. Alright, finally got that unkillable off. Probably cost us at least 30 seconds on our run. So we'll call it 3 minutes to get here. It's a little slower getting here than what we had before. But we noticed that Shield Guard cleared his own fear and went just right through and attacked anyway. So he did pretty well on that. I'd like to see his health stay high because it looks like War Maiden's the target now, and she might fall here in a second. But don't worry, so we'll just pick her up as soon as she's available. A lot of people underestimate Shield Guard. He's been in my tag team arena team for a long time because he's a great AoE. He's great in clearing waves. I used him as pretty much a farmer in the Minotaur dungeon. he takes a little longer than some better teams, but he's still useful in a lot of different areas. He could actually be your campaign farmer if you didn't have one. Not that I would say he's a great campaign farmer, but he can do the job. So I really like Shield Guard. He's very robust. He's easy to keep alive. He does good damage. So he's really worth adding to your team as early as possible because he's going to help get you through a lot of different areas. I used him on my Iron Twins team because he strips debuffs. And it's like, so if you have those Iron Brands accumulating on him, the faster he goes, every turn he takes an Iron Brand off. So he's getting fewer and fewer Iron Brands every round. So he actually stays alive pretty well in Iron Twins by stripping his own Iron Brands. All right, we're on 5 minutes now. It's taking a little longer. We're not doing quite as much damage, and we got slowed down on that second wave from the unkillable buffs. But nobody's really in any danger of dying here. It's just, taking his time, hit after hit after hit. And like I said, you're not likely going to be farming this level. You might be farming stage 20 because stage 20 is a little faster. And I don't know if there's really any difference in the gear that you get. But a lot of people struggle here, and that's it shouldn't be a struggle. You should make sure you're getting your Sill, make sure you're maxing out your Shield Guard and your War Maiden and your High Katoon, because you're going to be using them in other places too. So it's okay to max them all out. I may switch out Marked for a Soul Bond, might be a good choice, or even a Marked for an Anointed or Skirmisher. That would probably be okay too. But we would be really giving up a lot of that increased defense and a block debuff to get it, and it may not be worth it then. But Marked is good in a lot of different places. I use her on a clan boss team. I use her in a lot of wave content. I use her in secret rooms. So she's useful in a lot of different places. So I'm not at all unhappy that I built her up to 60. In my opinion, she's definitely worth the resources. So right now we have Sill, which is in a Relentless set. Shield Guards and Lifesteal. High Katoon is in basically just regen and speed. I want her going as fast as she can, so she heals herself through regen. I've got Marked in Lifesteal, and I've got War Maiden in Lifesteal. So that's kind of how they're keeping themselves alive, or they're getting their life back through that Lifesteal, and they get an extra 10% every time Sill takes a turn. So like I said, Sill is integral to this team. If you don't have Sill, don't try to do stage 21 yet. You're not going to make it, or you're going to struggle. You're not going to be happy with it. Just wait till your 6 months until you get Sill, and then you'll have no problems beating it, even without great champions. There it is. Okay, 7 minutes and 57 seconds compared to like 6:40 for the last run. Like I said, you can still do it with a level 50 High Katoon. You don't need a level 60. They all pretty much did equivalent damage. Shield Guard did a little more, so he's on par with Sill. But for the most part, they all did about the same amount of damage. So let's go back to the map, and we will run stage 20. And I guess I could run it with Shield Guard in there as well instead of Yakaro, but I want to see how fast it is to farm it, because farming it is really what you're going to be doing here once you've got it completed. So I'm trying to get less than a minute for each one of the waves. Let's see if we could do that. We got 20, 25, 26 seconds on the first wave. Yeah, I don't think we'll have any problems getting under 3 minutes for the run. All right, minute 20 to get to the third wave. Third wave's pretty beefy. They're pretty tough. They throw some increased defense, and that really slows our damage dealing down. We're getting close. Hopefully, we can make that 3-minute mark. Well, we did it. 2 minutes and 35 seconds. That's pretty fast for farming that one. So there you have it. Maybe let's go ahead and look at how we've got these built. Syl, relentless set. She's also got perception because I need her to land those stuns. We'll take a look at her. Well, she's got speed on the boots. She's got defense on the chest because she's a defense-based champion. She's got hit points, flat hit points on the glove. That is only because I couldn't find anything better. But it also has a pretty good substat. So if you look at the defense substat, I got a double roll, which gives me 18% there. I got a double roll of speed. It's a great piece, even though it has flat substats. So when it comes down to throwing a piece away, hang on to it. You never know when it might have really great substats, and you might want to hang on to it. Now I've got I've got a 5% attack, which doesn't do me any good. I think I had this piece on someone else before I gave it to Syl, because I upgraded the attack on that. But I'm hanging on to it on Syl because of the speed and the defense alone. Substats, I have some more defense on the shield, a little more speed. I've got accuracy on the helm, a double roll there, and I've got triple roll accuracy on the perception weapon. It is a 4-star weapon that is only level 12. So this is not like high-end gear, but I just got lucky on the triple roll for accuracy on the weapon, so I used it. On the ring, I've got defense. On the amulet, defense. On the banner, accuracy, because I needed all those. Now if you look at my amulet, that's a 4-star as well. So it's not like we've got 16 fully upgraded legendary 6-star gear here. I'm using a 4-star amulet at level 12. I'm using a 4-star weapon at level 12. It's not like these champions are fully booked out, and the boots are not ascended. There's only 5-star. The helm's not ascended. It's like I really could go a lot further with some of this gear if I chose to, but she works just fine. Even this gear might be a little too much for her. She works just fine with lower stats as well. 38,000 on her hit points. 3,500 on her defense. Sure, I'd like her to be at 50,000 hit points and at least 4,000 defense, but that's fine. Her speed's 172, so she's not incredibly fast, but she's fast enough. And 262 on her accuracy is enough to land those stuns in most content. So I'm not too worried about these stats. I'm not in a hurry to build them up, but obviously I could, because I could get rid of these 4-star pieces of gear and put, legendary 6-star at level 16s in here and probably do much better. Yakarl, he's in double speed with perception, because I need a little bit of accuracy for him to land his his freezes. However, he does have pretty good gear. Let's take a look at the weapon. Has a double speed roll. That's good, because I need him fast. If I'm using him in the arena, which is where I use him, I need him to go like burst. So he needs to be really fast. I've got a speed roll on the helm. I've got a double speed roll on the shield. I've got a critical damage on the glove. And I don't know why. Why did I do that? Maybe because it had speed and accuracy on it. Because I don't have any crit rate on him. The crit rate is like not even triggering ever. So I don't know why I have a crit damage on that one. Doesn't make any sense. I probably only put it on because of the speed. And maybe I can find another glove that has higher speed on it with some more usable stats, because crit damage doesn't do me any good. Accuracy 96 on the chest. I need him to have high accuracy so he can stun, especially in the arena. And we have a little bit of speed here as well. Got speed on the boots, a little bit of hit points, try and keep me alive. On the ring, it's defense ring, keep him alive. But he's got a double roll of attack on there, so that's actually pretty good. He's an attack-based champion, so wherever I can pick up some extra attack is worth it. Crit damage on the amulet as well. Like I said, doesn't do me any good because I don't have any crit rate on this champion. So the build I have him in is not the best build. If I can find a way to replace that glove with a crit rate glove, that would be fine. But this has 19 accuracy on it, so that's kind of a lot of accuracy for one piece. Then of course accuracy on the banner. I suppose I could swap out the glove and the amulet and just take my banner to level 16 because it's got a speed roll and an attack roll on an accuracy banner. So if I roll that up to 16, I think I could get the rest of the substats replaced and maybe get him at 100% crit rate. But so you can see he is not built ideally. He has 32,000 hit points. He's got 3,000 attack, which is good, but it doesn't do me a lot of good to have 38% crit rate. I've got him very fast at 263. He's one of the fastest people on my account, only because in the arena I really do need him to go before the other team, so he has a chance of freezing them. And I put him in, he's got 348 accuracy, which is definitely good. It's more than enough for any of the content that I'm going against, but it's only mediocre. Sometimes he gets resisted in the arena. Haikatoon, she is in a regen set with perception, and her accuracy is pretty low, so I'm not really maximizing her at all. She's got mostly level 12 gear. She's got some speed on the weapon. She's got some speed on the helm. She's got trip roll of speed on the shield. That's actually a really good shield. I like that trip roll of speed. She has a little bit of speed on the gauntlets and some attack. I don't know why she has attack on the gauntlets. I mean, it does give her 16 crit rate. It's kind of useless. She's not really in there to do any damage. Defense on the chest to make sure she stays alive, but it also has some speed on it. I've got speed boots. It has some crit rate, some hit points, some attack. Probably don't need all those other stats. I just got it because of the speed boots. Attack on the ring with some hit points. More hit points on the amulet, but a defense amulet. And we've got a defense banner. I probably could swap this banner for an accuracy banner because I really do need her to have higher accuracy if she's going to be landing the decreased turn meter, or even if she has a chance to land the decreased speed. So I could improve her artifacts quite a bit by giving her an accuracy banner and probably giving her, I don't know, I almost want to give her a hit point gloves, because attack does me literally no good. So I could probably swap some of this stuff out and get some better gear for her. But she does the job, and she did the job at level 50 too. She didn't even need to be level 60. We still succeeded there. Now we have War Maiden. She is still in some of the basic lifesteal gear that we got when we first logged in. Like this helmet, I think, is one of the original pieces that you get for free when you logged in your first week. It basically has a little bit of speed, a little bit of attack, a little bit of crit rate, a little bit of everything, not a ton of anything. I've got a 4-star rare weapon. Happens to have some accuracy, some speed, and some crit rate. I've got a 4-star shield that has some speed, a little bit of defense, and some hit points. A 5-star crit rate glove, because she has to crit. So I always, she needs 100% crit. But it also has a double roll of hit points to help keep her alive, which is pretty important as well. She has resistance on her chest. Now, I could probably put this defense. I might even be able to put this attack. I likely should put it accuracy, because she needs to land that decreased defense. But I didn't seem to have any problems going through any of the wave content. I'm not really going to change this just because it's working, and it gives me 26 accuracy on it. So it's an okay piece. And then I only have a 4-star speed boot on her. But it does have a double roll of attack and some hit points, some crit damage, some crit rate. So it's a decent 4-star boot. I don't know why I kept it. It's just the original stuff that I had available when you log in for the 7 days. I have a 3-star ring. It's It's got a double roll of hit points and some attack on it. It's just getting her hit points up a little bit. I know I have better rings on this, but I'm just not going to change them because she still works. Crit damage on my amulet. It's a 4-star, a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of resist, and hit points on my banner. A little bit of speed, a little bit of attack. So realistically, I should put accuracy on the banner, crit damage, get a better crit damage. I know I have better crit damage amulets. I don't know where they are, but I know I have them because they're in here somewhere. And probably get a better ring for sure. So there's a lot can be done on my War Maiden. Basically what happened is I built her way back when I first maxed her out, and I never went back to replace her gear, even though I had better gear at the time. Then of course Marked. I love Marked. She's got some of that original gear that you got for logging in. None of it is fantastic. She is in Perception and Lifesteal. And on the weapon, I've got crit rate and some speed. On the helm, I've got some speed, some attack, and some crit rate. On the shield, I've got some accuracy and some crit rate and some speed. So good stats, substats on all of these. Crit rate set of gloves. I can take this up to level 60, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe I will. She's useful. I still use her in Clan Boss. Maybe it's a good idea to do that. The substats otherwise aren't great except for the accuracy. Maybe I'll get another roll of accuracy on it. That would be worthwhile. But it's got a crit rate percent for the... oh, I forgot what you call it when you build these up. What do they call it? They call it enchanting. So, I'm sorry, ascending. So you ascend it, and I was lucky enough to pull a crit rate on a crit rate lifesteal glove, so I can keep ascending that and get a few extra points of crit rate out of that as well. Probably should do it. It's probably worth the resources. Accuracy chest with some resist, a little bit of attack and defense. Not a great piece. It's just a rare piece that I happen to have sitting around. Speed boots. I've got some defense on the boots, 11%. You know, that's okay. A little bit of hit points. Not a great boot either. The ring, hit points on the ring with a hit point percentage. That's good. I got hit points on the amulet with some resists. That's good. I've got resist on the banner. Probably should have accuracy on the banner, but it did come with a 16% double roll of attack. So she works. I mean, she is not built to be, end game, but I still use her end game. So her hit points are 37,000, attacks not even 2,000, defense not even 1,500. She runs 172 speed because all of my people are about in that 160 to 180 speed range unless I need them to go ultra fast. Like Yakarl was, 260 speed. I don't need everybody to be that fast. I just need some people to be faster than others, and that's why everybody's in the 160 to 180 speed range. 89% crit rate, not much for crit damage. She could do a lot of damage with her AoEs. She does tend to hit pretty hard, so she could be your secondary nuker if you're in Arena or something like that. So she's definitely worth building up. I just put her in the gear I had when I first started using her at Clan Boss, and I just never changed your gear out. So re-gearing some of these champions would be worthwhile, but that was basically just to showcase who we can use in the Barbarians Crypt to make sure that we clear all the content. Shield Guard, like I said, he's in Lifesteal and Immortal, so he's going to get a heal even if he's stunned. 4-star weapon, a little bit of hit points on that, a little bit of resist on that. 4-star helm, a little bit of crit rate, a little bit of hit points, a little bit of defense. Shield, some crit rate. Crit rate on the gloves with a little speed, some hit points. I got defense on the chest, which is actually really good. He's a defense-based champion, and I think that's important that I keep that up there on him. I don't need this roll of attack at all because he's defense-based. And then, of course, 4-star boots with some crit rate. Not really much of anything else. On the ring, I've got defense on the ring with some hit points and some other defense. On the amulet, I've got a crit damage, which is good because he's close to 100% crit rate. So crit damage is nice. I don't have enough crit rate on everything else to switch his gloves out to crit damage. But, I mean, the higher his crit damage, obviously the better he's going to be with those AoEs. And then, of course, defense on his banner. A little bit of speed there, too. his stats aren't great. Now, he starts with a really low speed. He starts with 89 speed, but I was able to get him up to 155, so he's not blazing fast. His hit points 33, his defense 2700, speed like I said 155. He's got 95 crit rate, only crit damage is 93. What I should be doing with this champion is I should be having him maybe 40,000 hit points with 3,500 defense, so his damage is good. Get him to 165 to 180 speed because he's a little short there. His crit rate's fine at 95, but I'd like him to have 150 to 200% crit damage. He doesn't really need any of the rest of these stats. It's just that I got him early game, and the gear that I have him in is his early game gear, and he just started doing very well, so I never changed it. So if I really wanted to showcase him, I could showcase him with those added stats, and he would be much, much stronger. But you notice he was never in any danger, even on stage 21 of the faction wars, because he's just such a great, strong champion. He just heals himself very quickly. He removes those debuffs, and he's just amazing. If I could get him to 200 speed, that would be ideal, and then have him drop those big AoE nukes. He could be, competing with legendary characters because his kit is so good. His multipliers are pretty darn good too. So I will end it there. I've shown you everything that we got as far as the Barbarians faction crypts. We've completed it. Well, we are nowhere near where we need to be on the faction crypts. I mean, I've got 672. I need to get 945. If we look at some of these others, I haven't even broke 40 on the undeads or the night revenants. The orcs is 37. The high elves is only 39. When I get what is her name from the arena? When I get Arbiter. When I get Arbiter, the high elves should be done. But I don't have Arbiter yet. I'm over a year into playing because I neglected the arena for so long. It's terrible. I would highly recommend you focusing on the arena right from the start, get as far as you can, as long as you can, because the hardest part about arena is getting enough gold emblems or whatever, so you can get those. So you can get your great haul into 10s, because you can't get Arbiter until you have at least one of those skills as a 10, and that's really right now that's my sticking point. So I don't have an Arbiter, but the High Elves Crypt is gone. As soon as I get an Arbiter, that one's going to be easy to finish. Sacred Order is going to be a struggle. Dwarves isn't really a struggle. I like the Dwarves Crypt. I started with some different characters, different champions than what I should have, and so I had to kind of switch over from my level 40s and 50s into a different set of level 40s and 50s, but now I'm second guessing myself and I might switch back. So my part 2 of the Dwarves Crypt, I already did a part 1. My part 2 is probably going to be the ones I should choose and see how they go. But I'm still working with that one, so that's why they're so low. And Shadowkin just doesn't have many good champions in it, so I don't know what to do there. I'll have to figure that one out as I go. Maybe it's going to take all level 60s to get from stage 10 to stage 20. We'll figure that one out. But yeah, so I'm pretty low in some of these other crypts, but the Barbarians is done, Dark Elves is almost done, Demon Spawn is almost done, Ogren's almost done. I'm pretty close on Lizardman, and then a High Elf is going to be done as soon as I get Arbiter. Bannerlord's pretty close to being done on Bannerlords. We'll see how that stuff goes as those open. So let's wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.